According to National Crime Information Center, over 600,000 Americans get reported missing every year. Over 85,000 stay that way. The FBI says there's over 25 to 50 active serial killers in America at any time. Yes, we truly do live in a land of monsters. These are some of their stories. Welcome to Among Monsters, a true crime podcast, brought to you by Jeremy Hansen. Hello and welcome to Among Monsters, episode 5. Today I have my co-host, Maya Hansen. How are you doing?
Good.
And this story is very, very sad. It's very, very angering because this little girl that we're going to talk about, Ethena Brownfield, never had a chance. So let me set the backstory. In Oklahoma, there was a story that came out early January. I believe it was the 5th through the 6th. Am I correct?
Yes.
And a mailman showed up at a home, and a 5-year-old girl was running around outside by herself. And she said she was scared and that she was hungry. Do I got that part right?
That, and she told the mail lady that she was sick of being alone.
Sick of being alone. So nobody really knew what had happened. There was a man and a woman that lived there with their children. And then there's this little girl that wasn't exactly theirs, but was given to them to take care of a couple years before. Now, there's a lot of things in this story. It's a moving part story. There's admissions, there's text messages, but we can tell you this. We know how she died. We know that they recovered her body. We know where they recovered it from. And then there's a whole conjecture and speculation about how they got there to begin with. So Athena Brownfield, 3 years old, slightly autistic or on the autistic spectrum. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And she was inaudible.
Correct.
Okay. So I can say that it would be a struggle with a child 3 years old and being inaudible. However, parents deal with this kind of thing all the time. Now, they're not their parents. The mother and father was Wesley Brownfield. And Wesley Brownfield, the father, as far as I know, is in the Air Force as an Air Force mechanic, or
He's a Marine.
He's a Marine. He's a Marine and he works on airplanes. And then the mother, the real mother, Jasmine Brownfield Tucker, now I believe, has since moved on and remarried.
Correct.
Okay. And Wesley, when he went into the service, the stories that you hear, and we're watching this unfold, it's like a Greek nightmare when you look at the social media of this family between aunts and uncles fighting and calling names. And but what else do you think about that?
I think it's a mess.
It is a mess, and it's really, really sad because in translation, throughout all this stuff, you can tell that there's a dynamic with this family that these kids slip through the cracks. And it's not just Athena, it's also her sister Adina, the 5-year-old. So the story is that 2 years before, Jasmine and Wesley were not doing good. They weren't together. They were separated. There's talk about drugs being involved on Jasmine's side, and she wasn't able to take care of the children, correct?
Correct.
And like I said, folks, this is conjecture. This is coming from other family members, so take it for what it is. Jasmine Brownfield drives to Ivon and Alysia Adams' home, correct?
Correct.
Now, one of them, Ivon or Alysia, and I believe it's Ivon, is Jasmine's brother.
It's Alysia.
Alysia is Jasmine's sister.
Yes.
Okay, so Jasmine can't take care of the kids anymore. Wesley and her are fighting. Jasmine's keeping the kids away from Wesley. Wesley's in the service. Not a lot he can do about it. So they find a trusted couple, they think, which is Jasmine's sister, Alysia Adams, and Ivon Adams, to take both of the girls to and drop them off and say, hey, we need help. Can you raise them?
The new speculation is Wesley didn't know where the children were taken to. He had no clue.
Okay, so I'd have heard that too. So literally Jasmine didn't want them, couldn't take care of them, but she didn't want Wesley to have them.
Correct.
And then she went and got remarried, and kind of like Flowers in the Attic, the movie, these two kids were more of an imposition for her than they were something that she loved and wanted to get back.
Yes.
Okay. So literally Athena Brownfield and Adina Brownfield really didn't have anybody that cared about them, and they got dropped off with their aunt and uncle, and the aunt and uncle are like, yeah, okay, well, we'll do our best with them.
Pretty much.
Okay. Now, there's not a lot of stories out there what's wrong with Adina, but with Athena, we do know that she is on, like I said, the spectrum, before the autistic spectrum, and she was
nonverbal.
Yeah, nonverbal. Now, here's a couple of the stories that we heard. And parts of this story are nailed down fact because that's in the police report, and it's also in his text messages. Ivon Adams, the uncle, was angry with Alysia Adams, the aunt. Alysia Adams had left Ivon Adams and left all their children plus these other two with Ivon Adams, correct?
There was 6 of them, yes.
6 of them. Where'd she go?
She went to meet her boyfriend in the city.
Okay, so she just took off, left him there. The burden's on him, and she really didn't care.
Correct.
Okay. Ivon obviously can't handle it. He's mentally stressed. Who knows if he had a nervous breakdown? Who knows if he was just a monster, if he was a bad guy?
The night of Christmas is when this all unfolded, and Alysia was home when it happened.
So she had left, and then she had came back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And left again after
it happened.
It happened.
Right. So they're sitting there Christmas Day, and what I hear is she accidentally made a mess in her pants. That's what all the stories are saying. And he went crazy, and Ivon Adams physically beat this 3-year-old. Physically beat her to the point that, well, you explain what you read, and I'll explain after.
What Alysia told the police after she was arrested for her interview, she told them that Ivon, right before midnight on Christmas night, Ivon was mad, beat Athena, picked her up by 2 arms, and she was limp.
And her eyes were rolling back in her head is what I read.
Yes.
Yeah, so she was still kind of there, but not there, and they were afraid that she was going to die anyways, or he was.
Yes.
Okay. Then tell me if this is the same story you heard. He actually sent this in a text that he grabbed her, slammed her on the ground, and then punched her in the chest 3 times as hard as he could, and that basically the way he put it was put her out of her misery.
Correct.
So, folks, I want you to imagine a small, little 3-year-old girl being whipped around, beat senseless, beat to the point that she could barely keep her eyes open and her eyes were moving around. And then this man and this woman doesn't stop the man. The man's there, and he says, well, we need to put her out of her misery, slams her on the ground, and this 220-pound man punches this little 3-year-old girl 3 times in the chest. And the woman, the aunt, the mother's sister, sits there and knows that it's going on. She knows it happens. And what does she do after this all happens? She knows that Athena-Brownfield has passed away. She knows that her niece is gone. So what does she do? Does she go to the police? Does she go to try to get help? No. What does she do, Maya?
No, she waited there while Ivon took the little girl and buried her along a fence line in a wooded area.
About 20 miles from where they live currently, right?
Yes.
And it was on their family's property?
Yep. Right by a house where they used to live at.
Okay, so when he got back, they don't know for sure, but they think that next day he gathered up his kids and then he drove to Arizona, correct?
Correct.
Okay, the mailman, now this went on for a while. On the 5th of January, the mailman found this little girl. Her sister, Adina, hadn't eaten in days, scared, out of her mind, lonely. And then they're like, oh, well, where's the other sister? Where are the kids? Where is Mr. Ivon Adams? Where's Alysia Adams? Now, the sickening part is Alysia Adams went back to her boyfriend's house, and that's where they picked her up.
Correct.
Ivon Adams decided to go visit family in Arizona. And that's where they picked him up.
with his four kids.
Right. So they murdered Athena, or at least Ivon did, and Alysia was complicit. And then they went on vacation.
Pretty much.
And not even mentioning this little girl. And these are the types of stories that drive me nuts, because this little Athena Brownfield, this little beautiful little girl, never had a chance. Her mom didn't want her. Her dad couldn't find her. And because of the system, the dad didn't have a lot of rights to go find her. He's in the military. He's doing his thing. The mom is running around now with her new husband, doesn't really have any interest in the old baggage of her old life. They're dropped on the aunt and uncle. The aunt and uncle obviously are having problems themselves. There's been talk about drugs. There's been talk about infidelity. And we know that was happening. And there's even talk of Ivon doing this to punish Alysia for having a boyfriend and going to the boyfriend's house. A little 3-year-old girl got the punishment for all of this adult human BS.
Yep.
Do I got that right?
Yep.
Okay, so he buried her in Rush Springs, Oklahoma. They've had a couple vigils for her. They've been charged, both of them. I know Ivon Adams has been charged with first-degree murder, and we don't know if that's going to stay. And I'm not sure Alysia Adams, they've changed the charges a couple times, but I do believe it's second-degree murder and negligence of a child. Okay, explain it to me.
Okay, so Ivon has got homicide charges.
First degree.
And child neglect, and Alysia has 2 child neglect charges.
2 child neglect. And they haven't charged her with the...
Nope.
Okay, yet, folks, yet.
Yet.
Now, in the court of public opinion, this might change. People like me might make phone calls to the DA and say, hey, this woman needs to be charged just with him, because here's the thing. Even if she couldn't stop him from doing what he did, that monster, okay, she was there and she had an obligation to protect that little child.
Yep.
Okay. The mother also, I am extremely upset, because they were just kind of like baggage that they just got rid of. Like, hey, this is an old part of my life. It has nothing to do with it. And the father couldn't even get to him because of the way that the laws are set up. He didn't even know where they were because the mother kept them hidden.
When police made contact with Ivon in Arizona, he said he had dropped the 2 girls off with a grandparent.
So he tried lying.
Yep.
And then, from what I understand, they took his phone and they looked through his text messages, and he had deleted some of them, but they were able to get him back. And that's how he got picked up and arrested, correct?
Pretty much. And they also tracked his location to where he went to after Alysia told him what he had done. And his location was in Rush Springs, around the area where he buried her.
Well, it's sickening and it's disgusting. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Among Monsters, but we really need to change some laws in this country. We need to protect our little babies out there, and we need to start holding people accountable. What do you think?
I agree.
So it is what it is, folks. Pray for this little girl, Athena Brownfield. If you look in Oklahoma, the stories all over the internet. They have different GoFundMe set up for her sister, Adina, also set up for when she turns 21 to pay for her education. This is a travesty that should have never happened here. Thank you for joining us. See you later.
See you later.